What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I'm really excited to bring you my full review of the Petrified Fish 989 Auster. This one here has a 3.58 inch K110, which is Bowler's version of D2, very premium D2 version. 4.85 inch G10 handles done in a G Mascus, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Overall length is 8.43 inches, so this is for sure a full-size knife. Claim weight 4.48 ounces, and I think I did weigh and confirm that when I did the unboxing. Maybe memory is not serving me too well today, but we're going to go ahead, bring the scale on over, and check out that claimed 4.5 ounce weight. So maybe 4.7, maybe 4.8. Let's see if the scale decides to... Okay, it went straight to 4.8. So a little bit more than that claimed 4.5 ounce weight, and there could be deviations in the amount of steel remaining after the manufacturing process. There's all kinds of stuff that can kind of go into that. Before we dive into comparable knives, we're going to just run through my usual comparison knives. I am just doing this for a size reference, but hopefully this helps you understand the size of this knife if you're familiar with any of these comparisons. First up is the Spyderco Yojimbo 2. Very similar in size, the Yojimbo 2 is to the Para 3. So this one here kind of representing both. The Yojimbo is slightly longer than the Para 3, but only slightly. Also, I'm going to bring out the Spyderco Shaman. I do have the skinny scales on here, so it probably does look a little bit different, but the length is still the same. And just to really help you with the length, because I know laying flat on the table, it's a little hard, but you can get a good idea of the size of this knife in comparison to the Shaman, which I think is a little bit more comparable than the Yojimbo. Obviously, if you have the Yojimbo, this is just to let you know how much bigger the 989 Auster really is. All right, I'm going to bring out the crossbar locks that I like to use for these types of comparison as well. First up is going to be my Benchmade bug out with the Flytanium scales. As you can see, the Petrified Fish is just longer overall. I'm also going to bring the SIG K320 out. This one here is made by Hogue, and I line these up in the pivots just in case you're only tuning in for the first time, why I lay in the way that I do, so you can see handle and blade from the pivot, how it kind of falls out. But being that the SIG is a little bit bigger, I will pick this up so that you can see just how much of a difference there really is between the two. And obviously the carry profiles are a little bit different because the SIG is a taller knife overall. We'll go ahead and get these out of the way, and then we're going to go bring the budget knives out that I like to use for this comparison, and that's going to be the Kubi Royal or the Kubi KU321. Hopefully some of you may be familiar with this one. Very a good frame of reference also that this one represents is the Elementum from Civivi, so they can give you a good idea of the carry profile for the Petrified Fish. Next up is going to be the CJRB Scoria. This has a very Hinder-esque type carry to it with the choil and how it feels in hand. Very familiar to that. It's just much slimmer. So this is a slightly different materials. I wouldn't say one's more premium than the other because you're getting titanium and G10 on most Hinders, whereas you're getting micarta with some titanium accents on the CJRB. CJRB is going to be a little bit, again, closer in size to this, so you can get a really good idea. And since most people are familiar with the Elementum, I'll go ahead and bring the Royal up here so you can get a really good sense just the size of this particular knife. So those are all of the side profiles. Let's go ahead and do the actual thickness profile and comparing these to the other knives. So you can see here the Kubi KU321 or the Royal is just slightly thinner even with that contouring. And I believe the Scoria is going to be thinner because it's just a thinner carry overall. So you can just get a really good idea of just how thin that knife is. I'm going to bring the Yojimbo out, Yojimbo 2, sorry, not the Yojimbo 2, and you can see just a little bit thinner. And I will bring the skinny scales out here on the Shaman. These are going to be a little bit thinner too. They don't have that contouring. And then the bug out. So you can see bug out's much thinner. And we're going to go ahead and bring out a couple of comparable knives and then we'll talk about the 989 Auster. So first up that I do want to bring out, and I know this is going to probably be a weird comparison, but I want to bring out the Chris Reef knives in Inkosi, because I feel like the Inkosi and the Sebenza have a very similar profile to this. So I don't know if Petrified Fish is trying to give you that Sebenza Inkosi-esque type vibe with this carry or not, but I thought this was a very interesting comparison. Again, for these are like similar in the type of length and size that they occupy. Some similarities to shaping, but you know, most knives have that knife shape. I don't really think they're trying to rip anything off from either one. I just think it happens to be a very similar drop point shape and slightly similar handle. This has more contouring going to it, whereas this just thickens out, sweeps up and out, up and down when you get towards the butt, whereas this sweeps down. And then from a thickness perspective, because Chris Reeves knives, even though they're tall in their handle profile, not like super tall where you can't carry it comfortably, just it gives good ergonomics. It is a relatively thin knife, and you can see the Auster is just a tad bit thicker. And I mean just a tad bit. And wants to really focus on my hand today. Come on, over here. There you go. So hopefully that's helping you see that size. All right, so let me go ahead and bring out just a couple more comparables. And actually, I'm going to get the Inkosi out of the way for just a moment. And I am going to bring out the Tucson TS255, which never lays right. So I'm just, for the sake of not having to fight it, just going to flip them over on the non-clip side so you can get a real good sense. This is titanium with 14C28N. I do have my own acid etch on here, but as far as length and overall carry profile, very similar. One more, just for reference again, is going to be the Gannett, which I think has a very similar profile, but is more of a friendly EDC size, takes less space in the pocket. So with those out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and just dive into the knife. Let me go ahead and get the TS255 out the way. So as far as the Petrified Fish 989, aka the Auster, goes, I really like this. It is a larger size knife and it is a bigger carry knife, but I like the jimping. They did a really good job with the jimping on here. Not too deep. Could have put one more on the tip, but if you like that push button, it's going to be slick. But if you do the light switch, you'll catch that jimping just perfect, and it's going to fly right on out. Detent is done really, really well, and so is the action. Sounds pretty good. Not great, not bad. And haven't carried it a few times over the last few weeks. Centering has remained the same. I do like this pocket clip. I don't remember if I tested the magnet on it. Let me see. I think I have it back here. Hopefully it's not grabbing. Yeah, so it is titanium. There is no stick to it. So that is a nice little feature. The lander's okay. It is G10 backspacer. I did verify it, and you can see the fibers right there if you look really closely, and I'll zoom in if you can't. I really like this Damascus pattern. It's really nice, and it does have like a little bit of micro milling almost, it feels like, to where it does give you that texturing, or maybe it's just really ribbed as opposed to milled. But it feels really nice in hand, and it is quite a joy to use. Now, this is a thicker knife. It does have nice geometry down on the edge, so you can see here where I'm holding the knife, and you can see not much space in between the fingers, so really thin. And then at about midway, you can see just a touch of thickness in the blade. Thickens up pretty quick, but still comes out thin out to the edge. So this really does slice well, especially out towards the tip. If you're trying to get into packages, or if you're trying to work on stuff on the table, it's going to do really well. But it has a nice thick spine carried all the way out to the edge. The tip is done pretty well. Everything looks pretty even on both sides. So the manufacturing process is done really nicely. Really surprised at what you're getting for around 50 bucks for this knife. It is thicker and beefier in hand. It is milled out on both sides to try to help with weight reduction, but it is not anything under 5, anything around 5.5 actually for me. I have found in a pair of jeans and even shorts, that I'm wearing with a belt that have regular pockets, not basketball shorts, but just regular shorts, I'm finding that I'm able to carry these quite easily. And the action has actually improved as I've carried the knife and as it's broken in. It doesn't require as much break-in as a coated blade, but it does break in really, really nicely. Action's really good. For what you're getting for around 50 bucks, I think it is, you really get a really nicely done Bowler K110 blade steel. Has a really nice edge. Got a little dirt on there. Let's see if you can see there the model number and the K110. Has a nice, I'm assuming it's machine done, but it has a side to side grind. I really like that, and it has a nice look. It is shiny, and it does hold some fingerprints, but it's not too bad. I'm assuming, as with D2, K110, you just got to be mindful of corrosion. The pivot's really nicely done. The hardware on here looks really nice. Hardware is all T8. I like the fact that you only have to worry about the one side, and the Petrified Fish logo here is done well. You don't have to worry about trying to undo both sides. You can access it from the lock side to do your basic maintenance and cleaning. Overall, really nice knife. Again, really does remind me of like a large Sebenza or a large Nkosi, just a little bit thicker. The TS255 is probably not one that everyone's going to be able to reference, but it is, again, it is a nice full-size carry. And, you know, really looks nice for something that you might throw in a backpack or in a truck, or maybe even carry as your main knife. This is going to do, this is going to be a lot of pocket space to commit to this knife, but it is one that I really do like for the money. I mean, really good value for the money, really nicely done. It gives you a little bit of some style without being over the top, in my opinion. But they, of course, have where you can just get the solid color G10, and it is that smoother rib style that I mentioned, so it is tacky enough to give you really good ergonomics and nice hand position. Gives you a fairly nice sharpening choil. It is close to that plunge grind, but you're still going to be able to sharpen that without any issue, whether you're using a stone, because the stone you're going to have to think about coming in at an angle, or if you're using a sharpener that is on an arm that pivots, that's going to really be better for sharpening on this, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. And I do recommend this knife. This is definitely good value for money. So hopefully that has helped you. If you didn't know about the knife, or if you were considering the knife and you're doing some research, or you already made the decision to buy this knife, definitely a recommendable knife. Really good price point, really good performance for what you're getting. I really like what Petrified Fish is doing out there, especially I have it right here, my mini beluga that I got from them. This is definitely one of my favorite knives from them. From an EDC perspective, this one definitely feels like it could do both, you know, EDC or work. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, leave a like. It does help me with that YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing. Again, I'll do the full long-term review on this, let you know how everything's performing, how the hardware is doing, how the blade's been doing, how the edge is held up. It's still on its factory edge after breaking down just a couple of boxes around the house. Cleaned up really nice too. It had tape all over it, again, I guess because it is that satin finish, but I just took the adhesive remover and put it on the rag, and it cleaned right up. So really impressed with Petrified Fish. Can't wait to see what else they have. They have a couple models that I'm keeping an eye on for down the road. I got some other stuff ahead of it in line first, but I definitely am going to circle back to the brand. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. Thanks to all of you out there that have supported me in the channel. You are awesome. Again, thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.